The second discussion is based on Tropical Forest Forever Facility. Now the article reads as Belém as a test of new model of forest finance. Now what is it? This TFFF was launched by Brazil at Belém conference COP30. Now this is being touted as a new model for preserving the forest, basically the tropical forest, but it has brought many changes. However, concern they persist over equity, governance, and whether it truly addresses structural drivers of deforestation. So important from the perspective of GS Paper 3, that is environment conservation, and we will be taking up the aspects related to TFFF, that what it is and how, what is the significance, how it is important, why there was a need for this new mechanism, what are the challenges and what are the way forward. So let us begin the discussion. The first thing, the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, that is TFFF. Now as I told you, it was introduced by Brazil, launched by Brazil, but inception of this idea was brought in 2023 itself in COP28, which was held in United Arab Emirates. Now the main focus is to support the tropical forest conservation over long term. Now how it is a change from previous initiatives? One thing is previous initiative, they focused on deforestation, that countries have to arrest the deforestation, they have to stop deforestation. This mechanism is going to reward the preserved forest. Now understand this with one simple example. One country A, which had a history of deforestation, now this country has employed various mechanisms to stop the deforestation. So earlier mechanisms were rewarding this country, that earlier you had deforestation, now you are stopping it, take some money and do it even better. But there are countries which have never let deforestation happen, or they have arrested deforestation, they have preserved their forest, but they were never rewarded because they are not stopping deforestation, they are preserving what they have. Now this mechanism is rewarding those countries. Second thing, this initiative will reward, like it aims to reward the indigenous community also, which is at the forefront of preserving these forests. Thirdly, this initiative is going to apply a market driven mechanism. We will understand this one by one. So this has a blended finance structure. Blended means both public and private sector will be contributing the money. The corpus is, the aimed corpus is $125 billion. Now out of this $125 billion, 20% will come from sponsors. Who are sponsors? By the definition of World Bank, the high income countries or philanthropists will be contributing 20% of this, that is 25 billion will come from countries and philanthropists. So they are called sponsors. Second are the market investors. Who are they? They are private player like institutional investors, sovereign wealth fund, endowment. They will account 80% of the total corpus. And how it will work? This corpus will be managed by a multilateral development bank. In this case, World Bank will be managing. So what will happen? This corpus will come, World Bank will invest this money into bond and securities. Whatever earning will come from that bond and investment, this earning will be distributed among investors plus some amount which is as of now $4 per hectare. $4 per hectare has been fixed for countries which are preserving forest. So if you have 10 hectare, you have $40. Rest profit will be shared with the investor. So this is what it is, the blended finance structure, applying the market strategies. So earlier what used to happen, a country will pledge some money and will give some money to another country, but now this will incentivize even institutional investors. This will incentivize sovereign wealth funds also, that come invest with us, we will give you profit, plus one portion of profit will be given to the conservation of forest. This is what the tropical forest forever facility. Now what is the significance, why it was needed? So first, what is the scope of it? Needed we will see later. First thing, that earlier it was avoid deforestation, but now this is rewarding preservation. So earlier those who were preserving the forest were not given any incentive, only those who were arresting deforestation were given the incentive. Now those who are preserving it will also get the incentive. Plus it has also recognized the ecosystem services value, and that is how the rate has been decided, the $4 per hectare as of now. So it is recognizing the services that forest provide, that carbon sequestration, biodiversity, rainfall. So they are recognizing that every hectare gives a $4 service. So if you are preserving 1 hectare, you are getting $4. Second thing, it will be these tropical forests are major carbon sink and they are essential for achieving the Paris Agreement. Now recently what was happening, recently just see this data, the tropical rainforest, the disappearance of this forest, the annual data is around 3.7 million hectare. So for your answers you can simply learn that around 4 million hectare of tropical rainforest are being wiped off every year, and that is why it was required. And that is why it was required, because most of these forests were being removed, or this deforestation was happening because of the economic activity, and that is why this holds significance, that okay, economy was the concern, we are paying you, just stop the unplanned economic expansion and avoid degrading the forest. Now another significance is, first time the indigenous communities are being included. So as we know that 20% of the fund will be earmarked for indigenous communities, and it will acknowledge their primary their role as primary stewards, the frontline people who are saving these forests. Lastly, the innovative model, a finance model, because this would not be simple aid that I am rich country, you are poor country, take money, do something, but it is based on performance. Preservation is there, take money. Then every why deforestation or any degradation in environment happened? Because of economic activity. So it is first time aligning the economic activity with conservation. So they are investing your money to gain profit, they are giving you profit, but also earmarking some amount for preservation. So they are blending market logic with conservation goal, and that is why this new initiative is important. Moving further, what was the need? As we have seen, around 4 million hectare is being removed. You can see here with this data from 2002 to 2023, especially if you will see post 2013, every year average loss of forest is more than 3 million hectare, which peaked in the year 2016, which peaked more than 6 million hectare were lost. And it is still, if you will see 2023 data, it nearly 4 million hectare we lose every year. And that is why there was a need, because older mechanisms were not working properly, the Red Plus or the Forest Watch or any other bond challenge. All these initiatives have Yes, they have given the result, but not to an extent what was expected, and that is why this initiative is being looked upon as a new mechanism, a very innovative mechanism. So the first reason is the drivers. Why we need it? Because the driver of deforestation is the agribusinesses, mining and infrastructure, and weak governance. That is again the poor implementation. These were the drivers of the deforestation. इसीलिए we have seen the deforestation anywhere in the world. Either it is mining activity, either it is infrastructural development, either it is expansion of agriculture, or weak governance is there. So this is going to address at least two part of it, that yes, business, you are earning money, we are giving you money, don't expand haphazardly. Secondly, traditional method failed because they were donor driven. So a country who is giving you money will put in some conditions also, arm twisting also, you have to abide by their conditions. Then it was a top down approach. Indigenous community was completely gone from the equation of discussion and planning. Then accountability was poorly managed. So there was no data, no record whether money reached, who got the money, what amount money they got, what was the outcome, what was the result. It was never practical and never close to the ground realities. Then the climate justice imperative, that is also why it was needed, because forest communities, they, if you will consider their contribution to climate change, is minimum. It is near zero, because they have been living in these ecosystems since ages and they are not destroying this, but they are at the forefront of the bearing the cost. So this is the first time you are recognizing their need and their contribution. That is why also it was needed, because earlier program they were least bothered about the indigenous community. Then as you can see the pace of the loss of the forest, you can understand that Amazon forest, the pace at which they are being lost, the term is being used, the savanization risk, that is they will turn into savanna, that is a grassland someday, because with this space they cannot survive more. And once the Amazon forest are reduced to a grassland, just imagine what will happen to the global community. And that is why it was needed, and correctly it was brought in by a country which is part of Amazon basin, that is Brazil. Now it is not that there are not issues with this particular program also. So the issue is, first issue is power imbalance. Now according to article itself, during discussion phase you have included indigenous community, during planning phase you have included the local community, indigenous community, but voting has not been given in the governance body. So that is more of a tokenization, a tokenistic approach is there, that okay, for the namesake you are involved. Now when it comes to decision making, the power clutch would be there, you will be ousted. Then the market based approach concern. Now NGO and groups like Global Forest Coalition, that is GFC, they raise concern that you are mitigating an economic activity by giving an alternative of economic activity only. So again they are saying that more focus would be investment, getting profit, distributing the profit. What about the structural issues which are causing deforestation, that is mining, agribusiness, oil, infrastructure, what about them? You will end up paying more focus on profitability and distribution of money rather than focusing on causes. Then $4 per hectare. Now I have reiterated this data again and again. Now experts say this is a very meager amount and there is no scientific basis that can decide that a hectare of forest is contributing $4 only. So this is undervaluation of the ecosystem service. plus this money ultimately will come to the government. So experts believe that this money will be absorbed by the government or intermediaries like NGOs. It will rarely reach to the indigenous people because there is weak accountability mechanism. Now Brazil has brought in a portal which will give you a real time data about your eligibility or at which stage the approval is, all those things. But how much money was brought in, where it was distributed, how it was distributed, what was the outcome, there is no mechanism to take. So the same problem, the accounting mechanism was poor, it is still poor. So again the concern, plus comes the land right issue. Now most of the land are being owned by the government or the corporate. Now indigenous community, they say that first give the secure land tenure, then only we can ask this is our land, give us money. Otherwise government will say this is my land, give me money, I will distribute, I will see to it what I have to do with this. And this will create a problem. This will create a problem. And just in the previous slide we have seen that how Amazon forests are being cleaned up. So here you can see same data around in 2016 it peaked, crossed 5 lakh million 5 million hectare, while consistently up and above 3 million hectare mark. Every year it is being removed, and this is happening when global community is so called concerned with deforestation and putting every effort to arrest this. When they are putting effort, they are ending up clearing 3 million hectare. Don't know what will happen when they will fail. So what is the way ahead? First thing first, the community centric governance. So decision making power should be with the local people, voting rights should be given, then the land tenure should be secured so that the benefit should reach to the people. Then financial design, that is payment rate, DBT should be instituted so that correct valuation should be done and that valuation should reach to the designated people. Then structural drivers should be addressed like agribusiness, extractive industries, because these are the structural drivers which are causing deforestation. You cannot ignore them just by saying we are aligning this with market mechanism. Again, you are you are kind of blocking one market mechanism and opening up another. Rather, you should be focusing on the structural drivers. Then the accountability framework should be there, where the money went, who got it, what are the outcome, all these things should be real time, and robust accountability framework should be maintained. In this capacity building and technology, by using the platforms of UNDP and FAO for technical assistance and data transparency should be maintained. In the end, author says this is a promising initiative moving away from previous methodologies, but it will depend how it is being implemented and is it really focusing upon removing the earlier barriers or not. Based on this is your practice question, that is market-based climate finance mechanisms may not address the structural causes of deforestation. Examine in the context of the tropical forest forever facility. A 15 marker 250 word question, try to attempt it.